Yo,
Hello.
We're good.
You can
perfect.
hear?
All right, we are live. What is going on, everybody? Hopefully, everybody had a good weekend, good week. It is us, McCoy. We are back at it again. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it, do what you got to do. And this topic tonight is actually a very important topic, and not a lot of people really give attention to it. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about it tonight. And it's dealing with our local elections, and it kind of try to dive in with this hour that we have about these about the local elections and how it actually affects your community. So we are how are we going to start this off, you guys? You guys want to kind of like name off your current representatives that are running, or how you want to spin this little round table?
I mean, that's an excellent question. Because I'm trying to think
Yeah.
I sort of know who's running in
Mhm.
my county locally. Um, what's interesting about this particular election is that where I am in my county in South Florida, because two people didn't get over 60% in a particular in the primaries,
Mhm.
they're now tied, so they have to kind of battle it out um, for in the general. So there's certain positions they need at least 60%. Other positions it's just a majority, and then it's just kind of weird. And I
Mhm.
don't really know exactly why they do that, but this is my first time being super cognizant of the election,
Right.
like
Right.
more cognizant. I shouldn't say super, just more so cognizant. Because even now, I'm
Yeah.
still kind of I gotta read what amendments I gotta vote for, because
Mm.
you
Mm.
know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
because
Yeah.
that's important, especially in Florida. How we voted to have the ex felons, gain the right to vote back in 2018, and then our lovely Trump Jr. governor was just yeah, no.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. Yeah, so I'm sure there's a lot of little. It's I think it's bad to call them little positions, because they affect us so like greatly.
Mhm.
So we put such a little emphasis on these local positions that matter so much.
Right.
And
Right.
even how I was just saying, these little local elections, they're just little babies. I was no, they're important.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Very
Hmm.
much so.
But yeah.
What about you, Toby? Do
So
you?
I can't say that I know exactly who's on the ballot outside of the sort of the reps who I was already aware of. There was a whole contested Senate election with Joe Kennedy and Markey, and now there was just a debate, I think yesterday, between the Republican who's running and Markey. And it was, I didn't really watch, I didn't hear it, but I heard some clips and some analysis. So besides them and the reps, I know my rep Seth Moulton. He actually ran for president, didn't make it to any debates. So I know he should have won. He should have won on the primary on September 1st.
Mm.
Um, so besides them two, I don't unfortunately know much about the state candidates and the state senate, state representatives. I need to definitely figure that out. I was actually earlier today trying to figure out how to get the ballot. I thought Massachusetts was supposed to send them to all of us automatically, but I
Mhm.
haven't seen anything. So I
Mhm.
need to look more at that. But I do know about the questions, and someone mentioned propositions. So ballot propositions, very important.
Yes.
You have the opportunity to vote for certain changes to the state law. Um, and that's pretty awesome. You have direct, kind of like a referendum, right? Direct democracy type situation. And for Massachusetts, actually in 2016, one of the sort of kind of slivers of hope after that election was Massachusetts became one of maybe at that point not even 10 states to legalize marijuana,
Mhm.
even though they didn't have any dispensaries open. You couldn't have a license until mid 2018,
Mhm.
Mhm.
but at least it was legalized on the state level. So those are things that can show up on your state ballot. um
Exactly.
question 2 is one that's been promoted, especially among, the sort of humanity forward, humanity first type organizations, because it's ranked choice voting to be legalized for the state. And that's going to be, I remember we had to get signatures during the pandemic. So it was online signatures. Maybe it was already going to be online, but thank God they made it online. It was easier to just kind of sign a form to get ranked choice voting. And another one was about either term limits or getting money out of politics, some other one. So those, I think, both will be on the ballot. Question 1 is something I literally just saw, like driving today to work or yesterday. I saw a sign outside that said yes on question 2 or question 1. And I think question 1 is something dealing with cars, something about being able to have local car repair. Apparently people are fighting against big car companies because they had like a monopoly on car repair. It had something to do with data, actually. So that was interesting. It has something to do with car data. So that's question 1. So the point is there are many like these random questions or propositions. So that's an important thing to look out for. It's not just who are you voting for, but what kind of changes to the law. I know Maryland, back when I lived there, and I want to say it was 2014 or maybe probably 2014, that Maryland, maybe even 2016, Maryland had questions for casinos opening up and making, like, I guess, gambling, sports betting legal, and that was supposed to bring in new revenue. And another one was, I think, gay marriage back before it was federally legalized. So yeah, it's probably 2014. So a lot of those things that you never hear about until all of a sudden, oh God, it's on the ballot. So a big thing about, I would say, the mail-in voting, which is nice, is that you get to see the ballot beforehand, and you can look it up on sites like, I think Vote 411. There are some sites that you can look up, like who's your representative, where's your polling place. But when I looked up, some things were a little out of date from what I saw, and getting the physical ballot in your hand is just a nice, like, I know 100% these are the people who are on here. This is who qualified, right? And then you can take whatever time you need and then drop it off. I'm planning on dropping it off physically, but I want to still get it in my hand. So being able to sort of see all that before election, because seeing it on election day, that's a mess. Like, that's a hot mess to like go into the booth and just look, and then for the first time see whatever local judge or district attorney or attorney general, or not attorney general, that's appointed by, I think, the governor. But either way, like that's not good and I'm not coming for anyone, because that's typically been me. I'll see positions I never even knew existed. Like, I didn't even know you could vote for half of these things. So that's kind of a segue into the mail-in ballots, that getting them early is nice because you actually have time to do research, a little bit more research, and it's more in front of your face.
Right.
So
agreed. I know from my area, for the 59th district in St. Joseph County, pretty much it covers Three Rivers, it covers Colon, Sturgis, White Pigeon, that area. The representative, her name is Amy East, and that's the candidate that I've been actually helping proactively now. And she's running for the 59th district of Michigan. And she's the one running for State House. Now, mind you, she's running for State House. The one guy, I think, Toby, you mentioned him like way early, John Holy. He's the current State House rep, but right now he's actually running for Congress to hopefully unseat John Upton, who is a Republican from the state of Michigan, who's been in seat ever since. Hey, got some folks coming in. Hey, what's going on? Yes, you need to be listening. You need to listen to this one. What's up? And so with Upton, he's been in seat for such a long time. He really hasn't done a whole lot of nothing anyways. And so we're trying to get him out. And then there's another guy who's currently in the 59th district seat. His name is Aaron Miller. And so Aaron Miller, he's a Republican, but he's towards the end of his career where he's like, he really doesn't care. So he's done his term. He hasn't really done a whole lot of nothing from what the locals have told me since I moved here. And they want him out. And so now we got Amy E. She's coming in. She's been in the area since God knows how long. The farm that she's on has been in her family's possession for like 3-4 generations now. So it's like she has deep roots here. And it's amazing to see the amount of people that are coming out to represent and to actually get her on, not only necessarily get her on the ballot, which she won, but also make it a point to bring the necessary change back to St. Joseph County due to the fact that we have a lot of small town businesses, like a lot of mom and pop shops that are still around, that have been around for decades. And they're kind of on the brink of closing with the pandemic rolling around. So you couple that in with everything else that goes around. And so now she's like, okay, I see that the schools are failing. They don't have the amount of funding needed to
Anything's falling?
Yes, it is falling. So
It's going down.
Jig is up. Jig is up.
my household is wild and crazy, but I love it. I wouldn't change it. It's so with everything going on, she's trying to push to bring that necessary change. And again, Toby, I totally agree with you when you're talking about that mail-in ballot. With the mail-in ballots, we got ours from the state of Michigan, and it helps, especially for those who do not know what's going on, especially for those who are not aware of what's going on. You have the ballot right there so you can make your choice. You know, it is very key, very crucial to understand that what you do now affects the future, and especially for those that are coming up behind you as well. So as long as you set the tone and you set the pace and you let them know, like, you know, hey, this was on your ballot and this is what's going on. And so you need to be made aware. Like the one thing that's on the ballot now is actually the state of Michigan. What they're asking is this, that they're proposing to be able to add an amendment to the Constitution where if the police want to get like evidence from your computer, they have to treat it with a warrant. And so they have to go to the courts, get the warrant paper saying, hey, we're here to get information off your computer because it may be linked to such and such crime and blah, blah, blah. So now they're actually treating that as a piece of evidence that you just can't go in there and get it. That no, you have to have proper paperwork set in place. So that's one thing that's been going on, which is really crucial. Yo, Meta Jawbone, what's happening?
Hey.
And so that's just on the top of the list. And then there's so much I could talk about right now, but I'm not going to take up everybody's time because I want everybody to get a chance. But the one question I do want to ask you guys, and pretty much ask the chat as well, what positions do you see that have gone like unopposed in the past few election cycles? Like for instance, let me break it down. As far as on the local elections go,
right.
Do you see a lot of your city commissioners or your county commissioner seats go unopposed? Do you see like a lot of your county treasurers going unopposed? Like those seats?
Jeez, I can't even like remember. Like sometimes I definitely look at my like when I see my ballot and there'll just be like one person. And it's like, well, you know, they're obviously running unopposed, and it's just you just have to deal with it. I want to say, you know, possibly like judges, maybe. I don't know. I don't know exactly who was like running unopposed, but it's definitely like, you know, just really like those unknown, like people, probably like environmental or like water, wastewater, or something like some of those. Like I know that there's like this one guy, like this one like black dude running like somewhere in my county. I don't know, like just totally unopposed, at least in the Democratic primary. I live in a really Democratic county, so like most likely he'll win. But like, you know, he just ran unopposed in the primary. It was like some sort of environmental thing. I'm trying to think if there's like anything else. I don't know. I know that like I felt like this year, and I feel like because people are just paying attention more to things, and people I feel like are just running more. That there's just been like more people doing things. With the Parkland shooting, there was the sheriff's race was a huge thing because like we fired our sheriff due to that, and like that was like a really highly contested thing because the person that our governor Ron DeSantis appointed, like they dug up some stuff on his past and it wasn't cool. Like not Ron DeSantis, but like because the guy who was who was the sheriff at the time, Scott Israel, they fired him, replaced him with Gregory Tony, and then Scott Israel's team was trying to like find shit on Gregory Tony, which wasn't cool. But like the sheriff's race was a huge thing. Also, like the school board, I want to say. I can't remember the exact position, but it was like the county school board person. But yeah, no, like those were like pretty biggish. The sheriff one was like the biggest one in our county for sure because of the Parkland shooting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Toby?
Yeah, so I know September 1st when we had our primary, or when we had, I guess, the state primary, there were some random, it wasn't even school board, it was some position I never heard of, but there was some council or some board. I mean, where I live is more of like a smaller town anyway. So it's not like you have a big city council race. Like that would be Boston, Boston or Cambridge or wherever. But I know that there were some that literally were all unopposed, like 2 or 3. And I was like, I don't even know who these people are. I don't know what the position means. And I was like, does this even make sense to vote? So I just left those blank personally. And I had voted in the Senate race mostly, but even my representative race, like I did attempt to watch like a whole hour and a half virtual debate that happened in the district. I guess that was not unopposed though, but it was the rep and then 2 people, and I was like, at this point, I can't always tell like, what people's differences are. Sometimes it's just so hard to tell. People try to challenge people on records, but sometimes you just can't tell people apart. So it ends up being basically unopposed, and that's kind of the problem a lot of the times is that engagement's not there. So people just kind of coast to reelection, and maybe they're doing their job and they deserve to be reelected. But a lot of the times it's either literally unopposed people or some opposition that isn't really heavily advertised or paid attention to. Right. I haven't seen what the ballot's going to look like for the general election. I need to look at that very soon. And then even for the primary, the presidential primary, there were also other positions that were on there, I believe. And back in March 3rd, because we were Super Tuesday state. And the same thing, I don't know who the heck, like what these rules were. So I think after, April and May, really May, I should say, when all the protests were happening, first for Ahmaud Arbery and then for George Floyd, and then just broke open with everything else happening, people were like, okay, we need to really pay attention to what the heck is going on for these local positions. So, I mean, a lot of primaries passed by that point, but people are sort of being more aware for the future. Especially for cities, like, I don't live in a city, so it's not as big, but when you're really in the city, who are the city councilors? Who are the district attorneys? Who are you'll have a district attorney everywhere, but who are the DAs? Who are the just other positions when it comes to criminal justice, like related? And you have even the school board, like you mentioned. Who are the school board people? What are they advocating for when it comes to education and education dollars? There's just so many positions that typically people don't even think for. I remember one thing on Twitter. There was a woman, funny, we just did financial literacy. This woman was someone who was into investing in business, Black woman in the Dallas area. And her Twitter, she set her, like, I don't think it was a pinned tweet, but a very popular tweet she tweeted was, she was thinking of running for tax assessor of Dallas County, because when the data was dug up, pretty much all the places under audit were Black communities, low-income households. So she was like, what's happening here? I really want to run for it because this guy's been here for like 40 years or God knows how long. And so things like that. Who would even think about running for tax assessor? Like, I've never even heard of that before. I've heard of comptroller, but things like that can be even like pivotal in trying to create some kind of change in your local communities.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because I know in the Michigan ballot, especially in my location, where we are a rural area, just to kind of put things in perspective. And so, with it being rural, a lot of people that tend to vote are predominantly, your older white folks, and they tend to vote Republican because it's a very Republican county. And so, with it being like Republican controlled, a lot of them they take those seats like the sheriff's department or like the actual lead sheriff. There's nobody running for that one. There's nobody running for the DA for our county. There's nobody running for judges that I know of that are Democrat. There's not. Like I said before, treasurer. Not a lot of Democrats running for treasurer. Not a lot of Democrats running for a surveyor. To survey the land. Nobody's running for like the water commissioners. Like there's so many different seats that are available that typically run unopposed. That if we think about it, there could be somebody in the community who could possibly, give that opponent a run for their money and actually win, quite honestly. You don't need a whole lot of votes, but at the same time, if you want to hold a position, and even if it's just like, hey, I held this position for 2 terms, cool, go for it. I know the one thing here, and I don't know if I'm able to disclose this or not, but one of the reasons why a lot of Democrats don't run, particularly in like heavily Republican controlled areas, is because of the fact that one, there's not enough funding because most of the higher ups feel as though most Democrats can't win those seats, which I think is baloney. I don't know how you guys' areas are looking at, but I know for this area, a lot of people, they want Democrats to run, but at the same time, because there's not enough to kind of like step up and actually win those seats, it is hard to get the funding from the top to flow down. But I think that if we have a large base, or at least get enough people that are pumped and excited to be like, hey, there's a Democrat running, and what in the world? Hold on, you guys. Hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you. Ta-da!
What's going on, guys?
Wow.
What in the world?
How did this happen?
I heard you guys were talking about local elections. I had to come by.
Oh, the ghost of voting past.
The ghost of voting past.
The ghost of voting present.
Yes.
You guys saw that?
Over you guys. What is going on?
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I remember the ghost of voting past, like the dude from like the 70s.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, hold on. Hold on. I got it.
Genie Shinobi.
He's going to put on his. Okay.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Hey, he gonna take your girl from the voting line. Like once she's done voting, he is snatching her up. You ain't seen her again. Nope.
First I cast my vote. Then I, some Little B lyrics there, but I'll just keep it. I'll just keep it.
Hold on, you guys. Hold on. We're not done. We got Erica.
Wow.
Erica. I can't find my wig, but yeah.
I didn't know what was going on tonight. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Just no warning. We got
Like it's a surprise.
2 superstars.
What is up?
How are you guys?
We're done.
Great. It's good to see
How are
you.
you doing? It's good to see you.
Oh man,
I like your shirt.
we're gonna have fun.
Oh, thank you.
It's the reunion special.
This is the energy that I needed in
Yes.
to help end 2020.
Like, oh my
No,
god.
for real.
Oh my god. I can't even with that man. Vote. Everyone vote. Please vote.
Please. Even if
I'm
you gotta go
begging.
out and do it, it's so crucial. Oh, it's so crucial. So listen. I know you guys are coming in, and I know we're talking about our local elections, but we wanted to get your guys' thoughts too as well. Like as far as how do you guys see your local elections, and how is it kind of like looking in your areas? And either Erica or Jeannie, you guys can, whoever wants to go first and talk about a little bit about it.
Let me tell you, I want to go first because this is really hitting home. So we have a state senator here named Louise Lucas, and she's our local state senator, like in my area. And there was a recent protest where they brought down a Confederate statue, and they put out and she actually, in the meantime, like after that happened, introduced a bill in order to have closer police oversight. And the next day, they put out a warrant for her arrest.
Whoa.
What?
Yes, dead ass. It was all over the news, and it's ridiculous. Like, so we really gotta vote. We gotta make our voices heard. She ain't going nowhere on my watch. I will campaign, phone bank. We have to protect our good leaders and make sure that the bad ones get replaced. Because there's no way a police chief or mayor of a city should put out a warrant of arrest for a state senator that looks so suspicious like that.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's mad shady.
Anybody else cool with her? Like, I know, Ronald, you with Amy. Tell us about her.
Oh, I will. Hold on. But I got to get Erica. Yes, pointing down here. I want to get Erica your thoughts as far as like the local elections and how's that kind of working out in your area.
Yeah, I think people are excited to vote. They're ready to vote, which is awesome. I think in my community, the propositions are really, really big. And people are doing everything they can to educate other people on how to vote for them or what they think would be a great way to vote on them. So that's really cool. A lot of protesting is still taking place in my community. So social justice is on the ballot. I think people are waking up that the local government is very, very important, which is really, really nice. I don't think people understand that a lot of the decisions that are being made start at the local level. So that's pretty cool. I see young people getting out and being involved, and that's really awesome. So I think that the community, I think Trump's candidacy, like presidency, woke a lot of people up.
Agreed.
And to see the intention behind getting active is pretty damn inspiring. And I think there's going to be a massive turnout. I think he's nervous right now. That's why he is acting reckless. And it's our responsibility, though, to vote up and down the ballot, to do our research, to make sure that we know how we're going to vote, because it's really truly your voice. It's not a cliche thing. It's fact. And then you have to come around in 2022 and keep people in Congress, put new people in Congress.
Yes.
So all that is incredibly important. But vote, and mobilize in your community. You can do it. It's really, really important.
Agreed. Which, since you said that, Erica, it actually goes back to what Jeannie was asking me about Amy East. Now, as I was saying before, I don't know if you guys caught the tail end of it, but Amy East, she's running for the 59th district here in Michigan. And like I was telling Toby and Elle, the 59th district in Michigan is very Republican. And so with that kind of going against her per se, she's actually getting a lot of people that are like, look, your opponent that you're going up against, he's not from the area. He has no idea about anything that happens here, but you do. You've been here, you live here, your family's been here for generations. I mean, the farm that you're living on has been in your family for generations. We want you to be the voice of this area, and which is why I'm pretty much helping as a volunteer, working for her campaign, doing what I have to do to be like, hey, I will knock on doors for you. I will phone bake for you. Like, I will do whatever is possible to make sure you get in, because I feel as though what you bring to the table is so much needed, and especially because you're so cool and you're humble about your approach, and that you're brutally honest. Like, you don't know a whole lot, but a little bit that you do know is what's going to draw people in. And because of that, it's like, why not? Why not go and do what's needed? And so, yes, she's a sweetheart. Oh, she's a sweetheart, and she's really focused on education. She's really focused on making sure we get those dollars to actually hit our schools and our school district. And we need it done. We need the infrastructure to be updated. She's big on making sure that broadband internet is brought here in the rural area. Now, mind you, the city of Three Rivers, it's a small country town, but at the same time, there's so much history into it. I could talk about it all day as if I lived there my whole life, but I've been living here probably 4 or 5 years now, but I've been back and forth in the areas a little bit more. But still, it's the passion that she has. I want this to happen. I don't want somebody who really doesn't care about anything for the fact of the matter to get in an office and do nothing. It was like, we can't have that. We've already had that for the past 4 years. It has to end. We got to get people in. We got to get people involved. But most importantly, we got to get that vote out. We got to let people know, hey, your vote counts. Your vote is important. And even if you have to do a mail-in ballot, do it. Do it. It is so key, so crucial. So that's my spill. And again, I will be going out this Saturday with her to be doing some canvassing, door knocking, hanging up doors. So yes, Erica, you're spot on. Mobilize is key, and that's you're muted. You're muted.
I was going to say, what you're doing is really, really important, because it's important to donate to candidates, but it's also important to get involved in congressional races that you're passionate about. And there's so much more on the ballot than just the presidency. We have the opportunity to get a new Secretary of Education. We have an opportunity to get Jamie Harrison and get Lindsey Graham out. We have the opportunity to, so Supreme Court justices pretty much complicated. It's complicated, but healthcare is coming back up. So, I think when we think about voting, we have to realize that down ballot issues and down ballot candidates and the issues that come with the people that are going to advocate for those things are really important.
Agreed. Anybody else wants to add into it? This is getting good, y'all.
Yeah.
Fun. Toby, what do you think?
Yeah, here in Massachusetts, I haven't really seen much action. I remember back in June with all the protests and things, people were talking about, what were the local races going on, new budget for the, trying to get more money funded to schools and other places, less for the police department. But I haven't really seen much sort of mobilizing on a large scale. Well, what I said earlier in the stream was ranked choice voting is on the ballot. So that's a proposition too. And I've been sharing personally on my Facebook, on my story. I've posted at other places, trying to say, hey, we need to get this as a reform. And it would actually spark some good discussion on my Facebook feed about how that, how we could spread it nationally and whatever. So definitely I've seen some mobilization. I'm in agreement, is my personal opinion, because of course we need to mobilize. We need to, fundraise, help get more people into office. Run. That's not my calling, but I actually have been thinking about it more in terms of if there were people, kind of like you, Erica, and other people who wanted to run, actually working closely with people, learning more about what the process entails, and being I don't know, staff or something, whatever my talents could bring in an alternate universe, but that universe is not now currently. But I've definitely thought that there's going to be more engagement from people like us in these kind of races. Donna Imam, I've definitely been following her. I know, Jeannie, you've definitely been like really about her as well. And there's just so much. Like, I've never been this sort of like engaged in terms of like knowing. Like, I get text messages from a lot of these campaigns. Jamie Harrison's probably the one that I've contributed to. At least I get the most, and I sort of the most frequently will contribute to or do things for. And yeah, when 2022 comes around, it's going to be a whole different ball game. It's going to be an actual movie, as the kids say these days.
Yeah.
It's going to be really cool to see what kind of people run, what they run on, and just to kind of see the wave. There was a bit of a worry when some, obviously we were for Yang, but even when other candidates were dropping out, I was like, what's going to happen with all this momentum? What's going to happen? It was kind of like a little bit, I wouldn't say depressing, maybe for some, but it was just like, what's going to happen? But now it's kind of like there's a very clear purpose. There's very kind of clear vision, I feel like, going forward. And then in general, there's just so many good causes and things to support that
Yes.
we just have to keep tapped in and keep, it's a little out of the comfort zone for a lot of us who may have been more used to being on the sidelines or being like less politically engaged, not necessarily the cool thing. But it's been interesting to see kind of how that engagement has been increasing and how there are more tangible ways that we can get involved. I think the thing you just said about Proposition 18 for lowering the voting age, and I know that was not the most popular position nationwide, but the data and the rationale made sense. Because when you're engaged earlier, you continue to be engaged. So I think that's really like that could be a good way too of getting like people more involved. Is let's have people brought in earlier, even if the voting age isn't lowered. There's other ways. Like you had a great campaign. You're gonna have to tell me the name of it, but being able to hear kids' voices. So I think there's a lot of ways that people are going to be increasing engagement and helping to like make certain things more relevant, or should I say, a lot of the issues that are relevant to us, making them more relevant to the federal level and being able to have a more responsive government. The end.
Agreed. In rant. L.
I mean, it's definitely like, just like from, I won't even say 2016, but definitely like 2018 forward, I've definitely been like getting more and more involved in like just understanding our local governments and everything, and just seeing how directly they affect us and impact us. Like, I always bring up my governor, Ron DeSantis, but like, it's just like a clear point where he only, like, Gillum lost by like 30,000 votes, which is nothing. And like in my county alone, there was over 100,000 Democrats that just didn't vote that day.
Jeez.
So like we could have had a Black governor and like a really progressive one too. And it's just crazy just living in this miniature hellhole of whatever the fuck DeSantis wants to do on a whim, and people just loving him because he's Trump Jr. But just like
Matt Gaetz. Isn't Matt Gaetz from Florida too?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
We have two that are pretty interesting guys.
Matt Gaetz, Ted Yoho, Marco Rubio, Rick. What was his name? Rick Scott. The previous governor, now Senator Rick Scott. Yeah, we have the worst. We have the worst. I know, and like Rick Scott won by like I want to say
in Florida.
Florida is the swingiest swing state. I don't know what the hell's gonna happen, and it scares me. It's terrifying. And then you hear people like, "Oh, I'm voting third party." It's like, please don't. Not here.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah.
I want to go back to really fast to what Toby was saying about young people. They're inheriting this mess. Decisions that get passed really impact them more than it does us. Right. And so I really think as the adults, it's our responsibility to vote because they're getting that Supreme Court justice now. Imagine if more people would have turned out to vote this when Hillary in the Electoral College, the areas in which Trump won. So we have to do this for kids. Like I always tell people, like, you may not like Biden, he may not be your first choice, but man, there's nothing worse than Donald Trump. He is
Right.
that man is evil,
Mhm.
and what he's doing is so reckless. And even the kids get this. Like even in my class, like I was teaching, and we did like a recap on the debate. Even they said that debate gave them a headache. They didn't even understand what was going on. They didn't know what they were talking about half the time. So we need decorum back in our government, and then we need progressive policies to make things better.
Agreed.
No, it's for sure. No, like it's absolutely true. Like I always think like, me getting involved with like Andrew Yang and even McCoy and everything, and I'm doing it for, my nieces and my nephews. I'm an aunt of 6. And
There you go.
like so I'm doing this like for them because like I don't want them to grow up in an America that is worse than mine. I don't want to be like, back in my day, I could, get a credit card. I didn't need a husband. Like, or, like crazy. It's like,
Oh yeah.
but no, like it's true. Like, like when I was just thinking back about like what RBG did, like I'm a homeowner, I have a credit card and all that. And it's like, just like a couple of decades ago, like I couldn't do that. If being a woman, I had to be married to a man because I guess only men know how to handle finances.
Let me tell you that my mom is a realtor, and she was and it's like recently she was going around the houses and like selling houses and pulling out the deeds, and some of these houses still have deeds that say a Negro cannot own this house. So yeah, so these policies, these things that the Supreme Court made big decisions on, that we passed laws on, that have changed the entire course of our world, have happened recently. And we're still picking up the bones and the bodies off the battlefield for our rights. So I feel what you're saying now. I'm also a proud uncle of 5. And I feel what you mean. Like I see the flaws in this education system. I see like my niece's rights being, compromised. And I don't want them to grow up in a world where they don't have a floor to stand on, where Jeff Bezos 10 years from now has $500 billion and we're all just like starving to get the scraps off the ground. So we have to change things. We have to vote locally. We have to take the money out of our prison systems and put them into our schools. Yeah. We have to. Yes, Ronald.
Into prison pipeline needs to get closed.
Absolutely.
Yes. And it's funny, you guys, because when you guys are talking about this, I'm looking at the county commissioner races, and when those seats are given up, because theoretically, it's those seats there that kind of dictate what happens in your local community. And a lot of people don't really think about it as much, but like, well, if the county commissioner, if he or she or they are not only making laws for just your city, but for all the cities that you go into, don't you think that you should have some kind of say as far as, hey, you've tried that didn't work, we got to do something different? Or, hey, the school board, listen, we get what you're trying to do here, but that's not working right now. That if you want this to go through successfully, then you need to start thinking about some 21st solutions, because the solutions you're giving us, it may have worked back when internet was just getting started, but as of right now, no, it's not happening. It's not working. And the solutions that you're presenting us is crap. And me personally, I haven't fully committed to it yet, but depending upon what the outcome is for the county commissioner settings as of right now, I'm pretty much getting prepped and groomed to run in 2022 to be a county commissioner. So yes. And the crazy thing about it is this: you guys know who Boyce is, Mindful Skeptics, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
He lives one district away from me.
Wow.
Okay. He lives in the 49th district. And so that's where Chokeweed Peachford That's where he's running at. And so he's actually looking at the surrounding areas of his county. He's like, dude, he's like, whatever happens, we got to run because of the fact that it's so crucial because, again, he has kids of his own. He's like, you know, I'm not thinking about for me, but I'm thinking about for my kids and their friends and the kids are coming after them because, and again, like everybody has said, what we do now actually dictates what happens from the futures behind us. And if we don't set that line in the sand now and say, hey, we're not taking this, we want something different, and we're going to be that wheel of change to do something different, they're going to pick that up and follow suit, which is why, like, my kids, they know that every Friday I normally go and volunteer at my local DNC for like an hour, 2 hours out of my. And so I meet all the candidates. I talk to all the candidates. I meet those people that are like, you know, they're Republican, but they're going to vote Democrat because they're tired of the foolishness that's happening on Capitol Hill. They're tired of it.
Okay.
And so they're like, okay, we're going to do this because obviously what's going on is not right. And even then, I wouldn't be surprised if those same Republicans, if they actually vote for Amy East, you know, and get her in.
Okay.
So, it's I know for here, it's a huge deal because, again, like you, Michigan is a swing state. So
yeah,
it can go either way. It can go either way.
You're awesome, Ronald.
Oh, thank
you.
Look at this wave.
Right. I mean, but again, I look at things and it's like I see when I look at my ballot, I see there's not many Democrats running. There's not. I mean, even for the seats that actually matter the most, like school boards, you know, I only know one person personally, I know in the school board. Everybody else, I do not know. I don't know.
Because running for office is hard.
This is
hard. It's expensive.
True. Like, and again, like I was telling Toby and El before you guys joined on, like with Amy, you know, with her campaign, it's all small donor donations, all small donations, and like she's putting in work like you've never seen before, you know, and it's so crazy that she's willing to do this on top of everything else. And so I only imagine, like, Erica, what you're going through for.
He probably really understands just because, like, he helps me with my campaign. I don't think people understand how hard it is to run for office, but it's worth it. It's worth it. I'm not saying it's not. It's really, really hard. Hardest thing I've ever done.
Who was the person you said, Erica, who might understand?
Oh, Jeannie, because he helps with my campaign a lot.
Oh, snap. Look at you.
I guess my biggest thing, like, if I could fix one thing about running for office, is I think campaign finance reform. We have to get money out of office, it's just like you shouldn't need $1 million, $2 million to serve your country.
Come on.
You just really, really shouldn't need that kind of money to be able to advocate for policies. Like, you should be able to be a citizen. I have these ideas, be able to run, like, get flyers, all stuff, but it is, like, incredibly expensive. And I would say the other thing, term limits. Term limits. Gotta go. Like, they have to be not gotta go. They gotta be in place. Like, we need term limits. Like, because this is my opinion, there are too many people in government and they're for the wrong reasons. Period.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Oh no, that's not even opinion. That's stated facts. That's stated facts. And I'll give an example. There was a guy in the district that I live in. He's a Republican. The one thing that he wanted was term limits because he realized that there was a lot of people, especially on the Michigan State Legislature, that been in there for years, you know, and they've done nothing to help bring this state back to somewhat original beauty. They have not. They pretty much stayed there and collect their pensions and whatnot, you know, and they see the cities, they see the streets crumbling, they see businesses closing, and especially when this pandemic hit Michigan, you know, it was already crippled from the recession of the automobile industry, and now you get this pandemic that hit everything else, and so now I was like, okay, we need people who want to bring fresh ideas to the table, who have a solution of bringing this state back to somewhat former glory. But not only that, give the next generation at least a fighting chance to do something with it. Do something with it. And it's like, for me, when I saw that and I read the guy's platform, I'm like, dude, man, had you ran on the Democratic ticket, I would have voted for you like hands down, because I agree. Oh, I certainly agree. And even if, you know, he was Republican and Amy wasn't running, you know, I would try to find who he was just so I could be like, you know, hey, I'm inspired by what you're saying because I agree. You know, we got to get these term limits in place. We got to get these people out. We got to get fresh faces in, and even then, on a national level, and get that implemented, that'll change the whole ballgame. You will have generations that are coming in who are willing to step up to the plate and solve the current issues that are facing right now, versus do what we got going on right now, put everything on the back burner, and then come back, you know, after recess and say, oh, well, let's do this, but we're not going to worry about it right now because, you know, it's not really affecting us, but the people that we're serving, we really don't care about.
But in addition to fresh ideas, political courage to ask for those ideas, and not be afraid to. I feel like I hear myself back, but it's like, but also not like when you get in there, like, oh, I'm not going to stand for this because I might lose my seat. You know what you get what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing to have all these ideas, but what are you willing to do for those ideas? What are you willing to do for people? And that's what's missing right now in our politics. I need an elected official that can be like, you know what? Wrong is wrong. All of those elected officials right now in Congress, when Trump said no stimulus bill today, there should have been a press conference. They should have been raising hell. They should have been on their social media. You guys, let's get organized and let's start and advocate for the second stimulus bill. There are too many families and people impacted by COVID. And with this reckless decision making by our president is why so many people are sick, why the unemployment levels are just rising. Kids are not in school. That was a horrible decision. But where's the advocacy? So we're just going to roll over and die? The Democrats have the House. They have the House.
Come on.
So it's like, it's just, so I just say, like, I need fresh ideas, but I also need courage. I need someone that is going to really, really fight for things, like Muhammad Ali type of members. Like, that's what I want.
Come on now. Come on. I feel you.
I feel you. How are you not motivated by, like, the single mom? How does, like, struggling to do online learning plus work, like, how does that not motivate you to stand up to Donald Trump? Like, who is Donald Trump? Like, really? I stand up to the full. He's a loser. He's a straight loser. And the intimidation that he provokes on these people is just disgusting.
Come on.
No.
I'm pissed.
Fire.
I feel like, you know, you'll probably see, like, my mom got, like, a weird YouTube video from, like, an old friend of ours who's I don't know, like, they always seem to, like, vote Republican or vote for, I don't know who the hell they're going. But anyway, so, like, it was like this black guy telling, like, this other black guy, like, oh, why are you voting for Biden? You know, Donald Trump has done this, and, like, they, you know, they always say this, and that, but that's not true. I could blah, 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 this and that. And, you know, he's just like, and, like, you'll see those videos and, you know, like, and you'll hear about that kind of crap. But, like, there's literally like the fact that Donald Trump said like stand back and stand by with the Proud Boys. It's like that can't just go under the radar, especially when like they were just like out there just saying like, oh, like, you know, like they were like happy about that. Cause you know, you can like, even if he denounced it to like yesterday or today or whatever, like that doesn't matter. Like sometimes like when you say things, you know, people only hear it the first time. Like there are still people who are like talking about like masks don't work from because like they listened to something back in like March. You know, they just never listen to like the news again. Like those people exist. You know, like they're not as tuned in as we are. So of course there's like people from like all walks of life, all like, you know, who are just like, oh well, they heard it once, and like that's just what I'm gonna believe for the rest of eternity.
Yeah.
So like I honestly would like a president who's not like rallying up people, at least right now. At least not in hate. You know, like it's cool to be inspired by somebody, but I kind of just want to be bored again. I kind of want to be like, you know, like I don't want to be stressed out thinking, oh, you know, who just, you know, is gonna like just take me down for whatever fucking reason. You know, like that's not a fun way to live. Like essentially Michelle Obama spoke about it like this morning, if you listen to her speech. But yeah, like there's like, you know, like the bottom, like the local elections definitely reflect the top. But I've been seeing now, like, you know, like with people running who are like who believe in like QAnon, or people who, you know, just believe in like this really radical right. You know, like they've been really inspired and, you know, uplifted by Trump, and like that's, you know, that's the way of living. You know, that's not a good way of like viewing things, and like that's not a reason to not care. You know, like because like your vote absolutely does matter.
Yeah.
Facts.
Preach.
Facts.
Yeah, like your vote absolutely does matter. Like that's why they're making it so hard for you to vote.
Mhm.
You know, like they're not doing that just to be like, it's not that important. Just go home.
Vote for the right people.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, America.
Right. Like that's why like in Texas, like the governor just suddenly was just like, oh, let's just close a lot of the drop boxes. Like, you know, they're doing that because they're scared. They're doing that because they're trying to suppress the vote, because they want to create a country that majority of the people don't want, which is disgusting. Like it's terrifying. Like a majority of people want some form of like universal health care, or like some, you know, like single payer, something cheaper. And they're just like, LOL, no, like we're going to make it to vote. So you could just not have that. You know, it's like, what the fuck is this country? Like when you're like actively seeing that, like in real time, it's like, it's absolutely disgusting. And like, you know, they're trying to keep people naive. They're trying to keep people confused. They're trying to keep people angry, you know, at each other, just so like, cause like they know for a fact, no matter what happens, they'll benefit. And like, it's absolutely disgusting and atrocious.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I want Lindsey Graham to go. That's probably the big, like the Trump and Biden one is fine, but the Lindsey Graham.
Oh,
so good.
I caught little snippets of that debate. Oh man.
Yeah.
Yes. Like I want Harrison to win so bad. I do. Because what he said was so true. He was like, dude, how in the world you want to unify people, but yeah, you keep bashing them. Like, no. He like, that's not going to work. He was like, no, that's not going to work. He said, we need to find common ground. We need to work together to heal this country and move forward. And I'm like, man, if he's saying that now, imagine what others are saying in all these other races, in all these other states. Like, we got to come together. We got to heal this country if we want this country to move forward.
But Jeannie, sorry, Jeannie, you wanted to say something. Go jump in.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
No, go.
No. I actually watched the entire like debate, like from beginning to end. Let me tell you, that man knows it's over for him. Like he was sweating. He was naming off all his monthly bills. Like he was going crazy. He knows it is the end.
So bad.
I just
I need to.
loved how Jamie Harrison was able to like finesse that whole debate, and I love that it was just organized. Like just the execution of the debate, the moderator was amazing. I liked, credit to both guys, they didn't interrupt each other. You know, they just had a civil debate, which is what you need. But man, Jamie like finessed it. He's like, well, I think the question was, and like just sticking to the question. And I really love that it showed the difference in caliber of men and the caliber in ideas and what like this the leadership. Like Jamie basically said, here's a vision that you can get excited about with me. And
Yeah.
I hated Lindsey Graham was like the best is yet to come. You're like at
To come.
but you're at the end of your career, like you know, like you think like you would be the best in your prime, you know.
But that's what I've noticed about like the Republicans mostly. It's like, I mean, I still don't really know like if Trump wins what the next 4 years will be, like more of this. Like what is this? You know, just like, you know, waking up every morning and like seeing some sort of news article from like NPR, the New York Times about him doing some more fuck shit. Like
But Lindsey Graham gave up his character. You know, he was a very different senator when John McCain was alive. He gave up his he no longer has a moral compass. So basically I read that as that power means that much to you. Power means that much to you that you were willing to compromise your character, your morals and values. It means that much. And Abraham Lincoln says you want to test the man's character, give him power. And he showed he doesn't deserve that power anymore. So I'm happy to see him call it it's an end of the day for him, November 3rd.
Hey, my teacher told me this, and it stuck with me forever. And I think Reverend Wendy Williams, she said this too. She said, "Absolute power corrupts absolutely."
Yes.
That there.
Say it again, Ronald. Say it again.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I've learned that back in like 7th grade. And that stuck with me up until now. And as I see everything unfolding, I'm like, yeah, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And if people are still blind to the fact of what's going on around them, once that rug gets pulled from underneath their feet, they wake up and they're like, you know, holy crap, what happened? What have I done? Oh yeah, it's going to take a lot.
Toby,
Oh yeah.
Your opinion on something. Okay, let's say Biden wins or when Biden wins. Great. Now we're into 2024. Should Andrew run for president, or should it just be like let him ride that out? Like, what's your position on that?
Ooh.
Yeah, I was actually talking to myself about this, kind of thinking it through in my head a few days ago. It was weird because Biden, this man is gonna be freaking 83, I think, or 82.
It's 82.
He'll be 83, so he'll be 83 when he would finish his first term / be reelected. So like this man cannot run for president again. So most likely what people are saying is okay, he could resign or just cede power to Kamala. I don't know how that would really work to get reelected and then just be like, I'm a head out. I'm a head out, just drop. And then immediately Kamala's the next president. So some people were saying that Kamala will be who Yang would have to run against and other people on the left. And I'm thinking, I don't know if that's the case. I would think he should. So most likely what's going to happen is he would get appointed to some position. Like he hinted that he might get some position as like, it would be amazing if there was like a Department of Technology that was created. Your boy would immediately look for a job in that department. But anyway, that being said, if there was a Department of Technology that was created and he was like, you know, Secretary of Technology, it might make more sense to just ride that out. And then, I mean, that leaves a long time, like 2028 at that point. That is a long time from now. And I know so many people want their Yang fix, but it might make more sense. I guess it depends on what the political tides of the country are. Is the Biden administration getting their life together? Are they actually passing things like like campaign finance reform? I don't know what they're doing about cash relief because they really don't talk about that on their campaign. But if that's being pushed, then Yang can just do what he's doing and stay in the administration. Versus running to just for a show, and that's a big task to like run against the Democratic establishment, like not just in the primary where you're competing against a bunch of people where the DNC was a bit more hands off. No, you would be running against the entire establishment after sort of I mean, he's still pretty independent, but he definitely has like endorsed Joe. He's he's very friendly with them versus Bernie and some of that movement. So I don't know if it's really the best idea to run in 2024 after sort of like having this partnership, but it really depends. He would have to run as an independent, right, too? Or he would run in the Democratic primary. It would be interesting, but I'm not sure I'm completely sold on the idea, just because you need those alliances and bridges, and it's more important than people realize, right? Having being able to have those alliances and building a coalition. But then again, Obama ran against Hillary Rodham Clinton and won. So, and she was, of course, well entrenched Democrat in 2008. So, so my answer is kind of like, question mark.
I think it would just have to depend on if. Because, like, I remember Biden did say, I don't know if he's changed his mind since, but I remember he said like he was just going to run one term. Like, I don't really know if that's true, if I recall correctly. But if he ends up just like kind of running one term and doesn't run for re-election, then I don't see any problem with Yang running in 2024.
Do you think we like? Not to make this weird, but do you think we need Yang to pass UBI? Like,
no.
Like, can you see a Kamala or Biden passing UBI?
Kamala.
Yeah, I feel like Kamala would be more open to it. Like hers is just more like, based on like income, which is a start. And, I always like try to focus myself on like, steps in the right direction at least. So if it's like, hey, you make under 125K or something, you get $1,000 a month. Like, of course, I'm not going to be like, I'm going to not be against that. Like even though it still kind of runs the realm of like safety net-ish with like, like SNAP and all that, where it's like, there's going to be people who are like, shit, I make 130K. Like, let me see if I can, dock like 6K and give it to like my dog's friend or something, and just to get $1,000 a month. Friend. Dogs friends. So, sometimes they're people. So I understand that. It's just like, if it's a step in the right direction, if it does help people, then I'm for it. Like, even though I would love to, I would love it if like everybody got it, of course. Like, that's definitely the best way to go. But if it's like a step in the right direction, then I'm for it.
All right.
Yeah.
I would say it like this. The vision that Andrew had when it came to UBI, it was pretty much, it didn't matter who it was, somebody was going to get it. Okay, somebody was going to get it. And so, with that being said, his was a little bit more so like, again, universal, henceforth universal basic income, and so I think everybody else has a form of UBI, but it was more so based upon the means testing, where Yang was saying, I don't care. I want you to have this money so you can go ahead and do what you got to do. And so with that being said, it's like I think with Yang's UBI, it would get more attention versus everybody else. And so I think yes, in a way. And also it will strengthen his candidacy. Let's say if he does decide to run in 2024, that solidifies some like, hey, I had universal basic income. It wasn't means tested, but I made sure everybody get it. This is the one thing that somebody, like most people said it wasn't going to happen. It happened. Allow me to guide the rest of this United States to a future of the 21st century and be able to have a lot more things implemented for the 21st century. In ramp.
I kind of just want to see Andrew be the one to pass it.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Same. Like I would love that.
But like whoever gets it done first, great. I just out of just respect. Can you when it's signed in?
Yes.
He needs to be in the picture, like giving the president a pen. He has to give the president the pen.
Yeah, like I think like if anything, like he should get to be a part of that moment because he did mainstream universal basic income. Man, like for example, one of the most attractive things about the stimulus was the UBI payment that comes with the stimulus bill, right? That was trending so fast. Gang didn't even start that trend. It was like as soon as like Trump tweeted that, it was like
Yes, agreed.
Because like the cool thing about the stimulus package was like we actually saw that, like at least some of us, but like most of us like actually saw like the $1,200 and you're like, whoa, holy shit, like this is real, like it was like a tangible feat. But yeah, like
because the direct cash payment makes a difference. Every circumstance is different in this pandemic. And so it allows people to decide what's best for them. The single mom, the person that needs to buy medicine, tires, small business, whatever. It's just so individualized. And that's why it's desired by more than half of American people at this point.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Agreed. All righty. Any final thoughts? I mean, the main thing is vote, and then check out your local elections. And if you think you are capable of running, run. Yes, it's going to be hard. Start early. This is true. Start early.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you think you got a shot and you got a good growing community to support you, do it. Please do. Do it. Final thoughts from anybody.
Local. It doesn't have to be federal. It could be local too.
Yeah.
Run
Yeah,
for the
definitely. Go on.
run for the city council. Like I have a city next to me called Norfolk, Virginia, and it's a majority black city. And let me tell you, all of these city council ads I have seen have all, no offense, they've all been older white people. And the city is like 60% black. And so I just feel like a lot of black people are underestimating the power of running and voting and volunteering for the city council. You want police reform? That's where you get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want better schools? That's how you get it. I mean, you can change a lot of the world by just putting your hat in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
And even if you don't win, you could push the needle. You could change the conversation. And I'm seeing that with our local city council races here. So absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
And if there's anybody locally who like inspire you, definitely like canvas for them, phone bank, donate, absolutely like get creative, post about them on social media, like if somebody doesn't like or comment on one of your posts, they probably have read it. And like, you'd be surprised by like just the amount of like engagement that it might information people without even realizing it because they're not interacting with you directly.
Yeah, that's what people said about Yang. I mean, some people messaged me about him, but I've heard other people on Twitter say that they saw someone post on their timeline. They kind of thought it was a joke, but then they looked, and then later they would come around after being Yang Gang, and they'd be like, "Hey, I remember you posted this thing," and I actually got interested in after some months. So definitely you have more influence than you realize. And I'm kind of grappling with that myself. Like I'm not a superstar, but even on like my Snapchat, easily 140 people will watch my story. And I'm like, for what? Like I kind of joke, like, why are people keep watching this? Like I just kind of posting whatever. But I'm like, there's actually some influence. One friend told me that he was like, bro, like you have this much reach. You actually can influence like a lot of people for good.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. So I kind of got a little more comfortable with trying to like reach out in some way that was interesting. Thankfully that video, the one where the bodybuilder was throwing money at people in New York, that was a very easy way to share some stuff. And just be creative. Like that's probably the best. Be creative, be energetic, and find a way that connects authentically with people. What were you about to say, Erica?
Everyday people are influential, and a lot of in my opinion, they're sometimes more influential, and there's nothing more powerful than everyday people coming together for a cause. And we're seeing that with the peaceful protests in honor of Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Jacob. So it's like, I actually like everyday people. You don't have to be like a celebrity to make an impact. None of us are celebrities, but we're all making an impact, And so I just think that, Toby, you are a very smart person. I enjoy what you have to say, and I'm sure many people feel that way. I learn from Jeannie every single day. He's actually one of the most patient people I know. Smart and talented. He has skill sets. Elle is one of the most amazing, down to earth women I know. And actually, I may not tell you this enough, Elle, but I probably should. But I wish I had more of your down to earth nature.
Really? Wow.
Because it's very calming. Because I'm always like, I like on level.
Yeah, I wish I was more like you, because it's like I feel like you're like happy and interesting, and it's like, well, people probably just think I'm boring.
No, you're definitely not boring. Like your tweets are not boring. And then Ronald, you're one of the kindest people on this planet. You are seriously, genuinely a nice guy. And the people on this screen are like, I think like you guys inspire me more than like celebrities that I know. You touch me in more ways than celebrities that I know. But like, don't underestimate the impact you have. You guys are all very special. The Gang Fitness, he has everyone to do their push-ups, sit-ups, walking.
Man.
Like I live for those mornings, and it's like, so I like, Jeannie, what's our new favorite group?
The Mayonks.
The Mayonks.
Yeah.
It has something great to offer. And if everyone just uses their skill sets, that's how we get the change. That's how we get the difference. I don't want any more billionaires in Congress, millionaires, people. Like I just want like a fucking nurse in Congress, like a teacher. I just want like regular people that understand regular issues sitting in those seats. I want them at the table passing the policies. That's what I want. And you guys are great people, Toby. Like seriously,
Erica.
like just don't underestimate what you bring to the table. I promise you, it's more than what Donald Trump brings.
Amen to that.
Fire.
Yeah. Oh my God. Look, my eyes are smart.
Well,
go ahead, Elle.
Oh, sorry. Well, like, no, thank you for all that, Erica. Like, holy shit. That just like made my 2020.
Yeah.
Your hair is super fly. Like you're awesome. Everything is about you is awesome.
Oh my God, thank you. No, like I admire you a lot. Like I think you're wonderful. Like you definitely have like, exude like this persona that like it's just so like admirable. And like you're like like a dynamic, strong, personable, charismatic person, and it's like
Thank you.
genuine person as well. And it's just like just something that's just like very like a very rare, like you're just a very rare, unique person, human, and I'm very happy you exist.
Oh, thank you. What a sweet thing to say. We're having a heart to heart.
Yes. My
This is
eyes
when-
are going to start sweating soon. Like, for real.
I know.
Start sweating. Yes. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's been
Oh, man.
amazing. It's been amazing. I don't know what else to say. But again, everybody that tuned in, thank you for watching. Again, like, subscribe, comment, follow Erica of her channel and everything else and her adventures. Because again, when we talk about change and starting someplace, boom, we have our own. You know, support her race. Do what you got to do. If you live in her area, go canvas. Do what you got to do. You know, and let's just make this a journey. If anything, let's make this a journey. So, with that, anything else? No. Tune in next week with another live stream.
Hi,
We
guys.
love you guys.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
For tuning in.